The Earth's atmosphere changed when trains and factories were invented in the 1800s. Since the Earth's surface is getting warmer, since then, the Earth's surface is getting warmer and the atmosphere is getting worse. Today I want to review for you the theories of anthropogenic global warming. So, after countless hours of researching valuable sites that were worse sorted, I discovered that global warming is much more worse than what we think it is. I will discuss the greenhouse effect, how humans cause global warming, and how it is affecting the Earth. The Earth works much like a greenhouse. Okay, for those of you who don't know what a greenhouse is, it's the plants with the glass and the centers go in for the plants to grow. Okay. The Earth works much like a greenhouse, which is why it's called the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect has been trapping radiation than what is normal. So heat has been staying inside the Earth than what it can handle. So the sun, here's the sun, and then we have Earth, and then the other planets around over here. So the sun shoots out rays, UV rays, and then there's a greenhouse effect layer right here where it has all the gases. So the sun goes to the Earth, and the Earth's surface sucks up the heat. And the rest of the heat that the Earth doesn't use, it bounces back out to Earth. But since the greenhouse effect gases are so concentrated, there's so much in it, it just bounces back into Earth, and the Earth has no choice but to just keep it. So the Earth is overheating. That's what I'm trying to say. So for example, when you leave your car on a hot day, when the windows are all up, everything's all up, nothing can come in and come out. All the hot air that comes inside the car, it can't leave because everything's on closed. So when you open it, it's hot, it's extremely hot in there, so you have to sweating, you have to turn on the AC, you're dying. So yeah, that's what it is. So gas molecules that absorb thermal infrared radiation and are insignificant enough quantity can force a climate system. These type of gas molecules are called greenhouse gases, and this was said by Michael DeLay, an associate professor of environmental science at Vassar College. So the greenhouse gases act like a blanket that surrounds the Earth, which does not allow the gases to escape the Earth, so it keeps staying inside. The global temperature has increased by 14 degrees since 1880. The levels of carbon dioxide have increased more than 40% since the industrialization that took place in the 1800s. The level of carbon dioxide have not been high since the Paleocene epoch, which was roughly around 5.3 million years ago. So that was like an era. Now there's eras like the caveman eras and the dinosaurs. That was one of the eras a long time ago. During the intergeological period, the level of carbon dioxide was roughly 200 ppm. And ppm is how concentrated the carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere. In 2013, the level of CO2, carbon dioxide, is 400 ppm. So it roughly went up almost like 200 and something to the atmosphere. It's no good. The damage has been done to the atmosphere throughout the years and may not be fixable. So there's no going back into how the Earth was all healthy and nice. The only thing we can do is prevent it from getting worse. I agree that we have passed the point of avoiding climate change. Joseph Warning, an associate professor at the Department of Geology and Planetary Science at the University of Pittsburgh. So what is the main cause of global warming? Humans have advanced global warming throughout ages. Cutting down trees accelerate global warming. Plants get the carbon dioxide from the earth and store it inside their trunk, their trees, so they can continue growing. Besides that, they also use it for photosynthesis. But when they are chopped down, the carbon dioxide that was trapped inside the trees get released into the atmosphere. So there's roughly thousands of trees that get cut down every day throughout the world. So all those carbon dioxide that was in the trees just get into the atmosphere, so it makes it worse. Plants do a process called photosynthesis. In the process, plants breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. Not only do plants get rid of carbon dioxide, but they release oxygen into the atmosphere, but they can't do that if they are destroyed. The biggest reason why forests is cut down is because of agriculture. So we're overpopulated, so we need to cut down our natural resources, like our natural forests, parks, to find space to live. So we need to stop producing. Fewer trees mean more greenhouse gases entering the atmosphere and increasing global warming. Without trees in our environment, oxygen will not be produced, carbon dioxide will be released into the atmosphere, and more greenhouse gases will be released. Streets are another reason why we are the reason for global warming, is because streets are overcrowded with cars that release large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. There is approximately 1 million cars in the streets a day, and each gallon of gas that a car uses is 20 pounds of carbon dioxide that is released into the atmosphere. According to the Union of Concerned Scientists, cars and trucks account for nearly 1/5 of all U.S. emissions, emitting around 24 pounds of carbon dioxide and other global warming gases for every gallon of gas. To end this, we could switch to eco-friendly cars, take the bus, ride a bicycle, skateboard, etc., or simply just walk. Global warming brings problems to Earth. So global warming is causing the sea level to rise. So global warming is causing the sea level to rise. The heat that stays inside the atmosphere is melting the ice glaciers, which is adding more water to the ocean. Union of Concerned Scientists stated that 40% of the world's population lives within 62 miles from the ocean, putting lives and billions worth of property in risk. As the sea level continues to rise, highs, tides, and tsunamis will be more common. As the ocean temperature rises, the warmer water begins to expand. The only direction the water can go is up. In some parts of the world, local land began sinking, which makes sea levels that high. So in 2010, this is the beach, and this is the little house. The level of the water was roughly around here, so before even entering the beach. And then in approximately 2050, the sea level is going to continue rising, getting closer to the house. And then in 2100, the house is going to be gone. So that means the water is already making its way to the city. It's going to happen. Okay, and then I have a little video. Okay, now how do I change?
What are you trying to switch to?
The internet.
Well, that's what you were on before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So why are you pushing a button there? It should be the same.
There we go. Just testing it. So here's a video from the China tsunami that happened back in 2008. Oh, okay, there's one. So as you can as you can see in this video, that's how practically it's going to be everywhere if we don't fix global warming. So the greenhouse effect gases are too concentrated and is slowly destroying the Earth. We are accelerating global warming by cutting down our forests and using billions of cars a day. This has caused the ice glaciers to begin melting and other problems like our ozone layer. How long will it take humans to realize that our home is slowly coming to an end? I just want to know why you had to look at me. Out of all the people you you have to start laughing.
All right, Justin, what did you think?
I don't remember hearing the thesis, but I did remember you talking about like having certain steps, like you talk about greenhouse gases and then you talk about tsunamis. what I liked about some of your strengths is that like you like moved around. You were not just like one of those presenters that like just sit in one place, and you were actually looking at your crowd, which is actually pretty good. I thought some of your weaknesses were in the beginning when you started laughing. What else did I think? You kind of looked at your cards a little bit too long sometimes, and then it didn't seem like you were like you prepared enough. I think you need to prepare a little bit more. Like you didn't. I know I had this issue too, but it didn't seem like you knew what we were talking about. And then your visual aids were okay, and I think overall, I thought that you could have done a lot better. But because if you would have given us more like some solutions to the problem, because like there's this thing called CO2 carbon cycling where you can actually take emissions out of the air, and you can take out about 1% a year of the total CO2 carbon emissions. And that's about it.
All right, well, the topic's pretty well identified. Your thesis is that it's worse than we think, so I guess I'm looking for the apocalyptic descriptions that you're going to have at the end of the speech. I'm not exactly sure that the tsunami thing fits in with what you're talking about, since that is a sudden surge in the level of the ocean as opposed to what's going to happen apparently over the next 80 years, which is what you've described. So I think those folks on the beach would have 80 years to get away from the surge of the water. So I'm not exactly sure how that's connected, except it is a pretty dramatic image that gets that idea across. I think that to use supporting material on a regular basis, you're very dependent on the Union of Concerned Scientists, and you did have a couple of other sources that you quoted. You explained the basic process of the greenhouse effect reasonably well. I do think the explanation of CO2 is underdeveloped. It makes it sound like it's all about the trees, which I'm not saying the trees are not part of the process, but it sounds like there's a lot more that's involved. One of the things that raises my doubts about the accuracy of your descriptions is at one point you say, there are as many as 1 million cars on the road a day. And I'm going, that's here in Southern California, at least. If you were talking about the whole country or the whole planet, you're talking about a lot more than that. So it sounds to me like your information is either out of context or you're just winging it, and either of those things is problematic. You need to be a lot more careful with the way you're using the information in the presentation. I didn't think there was much of an organizational plan. I think it needed to be clearer in the body of the speech. You let the visuals kind of structure the presentation for you. The early visuals were okay. The description of what the water levels were going to be like was reasonable for the presentation. It may be a little bit small to see, but I think most of us could make out what you're talking about. And then on the presentation issues, as Justin was just saying, I think you kind of lost your composure a little bit. You're reacting to somebody or something, and you get the giggles. And that whenever you got anxiety going on, that's one of the things that happens too. You put anxiety and a little self-consciousness together, and you maybe lose a little control of what's going on there. It sounds a lot like a persuasive speech, so I think you want to be careful about that and stick to the arguments about what the long-term effects are going to be. Here's what the cause is, here's what the effects are. That's really what the structure of the speech should be. Here's the cause, global warming, anthropogenic global warming, and it's a result of the greenhouse gases. And here's what the effect is going to be. It's going to be raising the level of the oceans, and I know that there are other effects also, but they don't really get discussed very much. That's the main one that you spent time on. All right, thank you.